Well, the whole nature of media is evolving pretty rapidly, and one of the more interesting areas, what I call the last digital mile, is really around commerce, e-commerce. We've done search, we've done social, we've done a lot around video. It's really, it's making sure that we crack the Amazons and the Walmarts and the Carrefours of the world. So a lot of focus on e-commerce. How do we make sure we put the proper investment, proper tactics, proper creative within environments like that? But it's not just e-commerce, I think it's also digital commerce. And what's so interesting about CES is this broader world of digital commerce that we've got, particularly things like beacon technology. We're seeing quite a bit of that, meeting with a lot of different companies in that space. And it's really what role can media play in the physical environment, particularly in areas like showrooming where people are on a mobile phone. So it's either Shopkick or the more sophisticated technologies such as beacons, in-motion footmarks. So it's so rapidly changing this world of media, and I find that little last mile, which isn't little by the way, it's big, $74 billion with Amazon, $250 billion with Alibaba, is really the area where CPG marketers are beginning to really focus on cracking. Video continues to boom. The major struggle around video right now is inventory. We just need more premium inventory. And with that is brand safety and viewability and some of the other attributes that increasingly our clients and Group M are demanding. Quite simply, we should be able to see the ad that's being displayed. It's not really a question of demand, it's more a question of the supply of that. And what's interesting is when you look at areas like programmatic, which is growing rapidly, potentially 60% of digital media in the US, 2 out of every 5 online videos will be served through programmatic. So it's happening in all sorts of different ways, both from the old sort of traditional way of media buying, but also increasingly through algorithms and the programmatic side as well.
Give us an idea of sort of the automation of the media buying process in the UK and globally, and kind of what you're seeing and how you see it maybe rolling out over the next 12 months.
Well, it's programmatic. It's unstoppable. It's like a Pac-Man. It's simply gobbling up all the media inventory that's out there. And we see that the most within the U.S., but other markets like the U.K., for example, Germany, growing rapidly there as well. So it isn't just a U.S. phenomenon. It's happening in many different places in the world. Now that does abruptly stop in some parts of the world like India and China, where they're still grappling with issues such as third-party ad serving, which, believe it or not, is still not allowed. So what you find is as you move further away from the US and Western Europe, the definition of programmatic changes. It's not what we envision it as here in the US and in the Western world. It's quite a different thing, but nonetheless there's still an added rigor in data and technology and science being provided into media planning, just not quite the same definition as we have it within the US. It's amazing because you see the same trends in most places of the world in terms of digital growth and digital billings. The major difference is where exactly the digital billings are coming from, and not surprisingly when you go to places like India or Turkey. I was just in Istanbul a couple of weeks ago. China, it's all mobile. I mean, 70% of new internet users in China are mobile-only users, and hence you see a great shift, or not even a shift, it's just when they start spending money in digital, it's just going directly into mobile. And you see that through the Facebook data. I mean, 50% of Facebook's advertising is coming from mobile at the moment. And then you look at markets like Turkey, highest per capita usage of Facebook. You look at Indonesia, massive Facebook market as well. So it's no surprise when you look at the Facebook data and the markets where they're growing significantly that the great shift is into areas like mobile. Facebook is indeed, they're not even the 800-pound gorilla, they're the 1.3 billion and growing gorilla that's out there. You really can't avoid them. I have to give them credit, you know. I mean, they've done a phenomenal job with galvanizing the industry around mobile advertising. You have to give them credit for buying Atlas and doing something with it. It was essentially dead when they bought it, they revived it, and they are really leading the way when it comes to single ID advertising across devices with that. I'm sure the others will do something relatively soon, but you have to give them the credit for that. And it feels a little bit like the initial controversy over the bait and switch of the earned media model going to a reach model is over. There was last year at this time there was a lot of conversations in hallways just like this around the fact that they had fundamentally changed their business model, and you don't hear as much of that as you did a year ago. The question will be, what will Twitter do? And they seem to have stalled to some extent. They claim they have 250 million registered users and another 500 million users that are not registered. They're using Twitter. Now, if you dig into those numbers a little bit, it's kind of hard to really figure out how that works. So I think they really have to show some new momentum going into this year around growing the user base and simplifying the user experience, which ironically, after everything that we've said about Facebook and diminishing organic media, there's too many posts in Twitter. I mean, I can't keep up with it. There's too much information that's coming at you within the news stream. So they may have to do the same thing that Facebook has done, which is start to filter some of that information to bubble up the most relevant content. Well, when you look at the future of media, what's remarkable about things like CES is you realize how incredibly complex and confusing it is, and it gets more so every year. It's kind of like Moore's Law applied to the world of marketing. And I think the role that we can play in media, because we see so much of the data from disparate parts of our clients' businesses, the paid media, the owned media, the earned media, sales data, so on and so forth, is to have somebody who can help them navigate through all that and architect a solution for them, and then adapt that in real time based on what's working and what's not working, and perhaps apply that to other parts of the business that we're not touching right now. Increasingly, we're playing a role on guiding them on content and creative strategies. We're increasingly talking to the product development teams, the retail teams when it comes to Amazon about pricing models and how we incorporate that into the advertising. So I think we'll have a much broader role in the future beyond perhaps just some of the old school media planning and buying activity that we've historically done. What I love about CES is the Internet of Things in the wearable tech space, and what I would call the third wave of digital marketing. We've done PCs, we've done mobile. This is really kind of the new frontier. And what'll be interesting is how clients navigate through that, because it's quite a sensitive area. I always say, marketing to a consumer on the PC is a bit like going to a dance with them. Marketing to a consumer on your mobile phone is a bit like dating them, and marketing to a consumer on a wearable technology is a bit like going to sleep with them. I mean, literally, sometimes you're actually wearing the device when you sleep, so you know their sleep patterns. So that value exchange is absolutely critical of how do you get that opt-in, that invitation, that advertising that's so good it's a service to get consumers to opt in to engaging with you. And we're trying to crack that, and that's why we started our Life Plus division to help brands avoid the mistakes, frankly, they've made in the past with previous digital marketing. We don't want pop-up blockers on wearable tech. We want to avoid that moving forward. So I'm really excited to delve into that over the next few days.
How do brands participate in wearable tech, or how could they, or how might that develop?
Well, I think when it comes to wearable tech and brands, I think there's many different things they can do. I mean, quite simply, if we know your hydration levels, it's giving you a promotion on perhaps going to get a particular beverage or a soft drink that's out there. We know your sugar levels and you're diabetic. We can help guide you through what foods may be most appropriate for you. It may be health-related tips that we can provide to you. So I think there's a vast landscape and sandbox of different things that brands can do around this biometric data that hasn't really been explored previously. But again, brands need to be highly sensitive to this. This is very personal information and personal data, and you can't violate trust, and you have to approach it very carefully.